Apparently, this TikToker got fired for sharing her salary on TikTok and cried for days straight. Now, the interesting thing about this is that typically, at least from like a personal preference, every time I've seen like an attractive female or a female in general using TikTok and something bad like happens, it's usually associated with them basically having a risque TikTok in conjunction with having like an OnlyFans, right? Because they tend to do adult content. But I find it interesting that for her, she was apparently fired only after 2 weeks into her job, but for I think an actually good reason for disclosing her salary on TikTok, right? Because when it comes down to it, there are so many reasons why you shouldn't share your salary, but also it's like, is it really your right to actually share your salary information from the company that paid you, that is actually paying your salary? Because even though some companies will have their average pay range publicly available, you have to keep in mind that if this is a somewhat decent sized company, if you are getting paid more than the person next to you doing the exact same job as you, that is going to create a lot of tension, and a lot of people are going to be like having like inter battles within the company, right? Like it's going to basically really mess up with the work culture, right? Like to be frank, if you have a business and you have employees talking to each other about their income, that's kind of like sketchy, right? That could like lead down a very bad path. Personally, I don't really care, right? I think the best way for just salary in general, if let's just say that you were to create your own business, right? Let's say that you created a business and you had like 10 employees, not including yourself, but you're still working in the business. Well, a good way to probably structure it would actually be that everyone gets their like set rate, right? But then they also get like a performance percentage of the profits, right? So that they're incentivized to actually do better at their job and get a bigger percentage, right? But obviously, people would know that you're probably making really good money simply due to the fact that you are probably an extremely hard worker. But you shouldn't still just say out loud what your salary is, right? Like, but let's get into the story. A TikToker who openly shared her expenses and insights into her spending has claimed she was fired from a new job after divulging her salary. Now, again, this was like salary from her job that she just started to work at, like only 2 weeks ago. Not only that, right? I think it'd be a lot different situation if she simply talked about her former salary at her former employment, right? And broke down the numbers of that, right? Because she's not currently working for that company. She has no ties to that company, right? So in one of the TikToks she posted last month, Larson disclosed how much her paychecks increased, including a big $449 bump in taxes paid after receiving a $20,000 raise. The video went viral, amassing 187,900 views, with people complaining about taxes, which all of us complain about taxes. But it caused much more stress for Larson than realizing the brutal extent of her taxes. Larson claimed she was fired 2 weeks after starting her new role because of her TikTok post. And the reality is, there are so many people who are addicted with attention on social media. So she was originally making 70K per year, so basically 2,043, and then 90K, 2,492 for taxes, I guess she was paying. Semi monthly pay periods. Okay, interesting. So TikTok got me fired, Larson declared in a follow up video to her TikTok account. A couple weeks ago, I started sharing about how I got a job in the tech industry. Um, well, I don't work at that job anymore because they fired me. She shared that she was nervous about disclosing too much information because she had to sign a bunch of documents upon her dismissal, but briefly explained that her then employer had found her TikToks and really, really did not like that she was sharing her salary. Larson noted that she is aware that disclosing her salary is federally protected by law under the National Labor Relations Act, but decided to take down several of her videos so as to not upset her new employer. However, 2 days after meeting about her TikTok account, Larson claimed she was fired from her new job. Does it say where she's actually located? Hmm. No, it doesn't really say. Because here's the thing that people don't understand too. There are some states where a job can fire you for basically nearly any reason, or they don't even have to give you a reason. So they said me having this account was a security concern because I could post something private about the company, she explained. I asked, have I broken any policies? Have I posted anything on TikTok that is a security concern? And they said, not at this time, I have not, but it could happen at any time in the future, so they're just not going to take that risk. Larson admitted that her firing caused her to have a panic attack, cry for days straight, and still gives her anxiety. Luckily, Larson was able to call her manager from her previous job in tears to explain the situation and was able to reclaim her role. They're really amazing. They know about my TikTok and they have no issues with it, she said. And the thing is, they're probably like, ha, she had to come crawling back to us with less money for less money because she got fired for blabbing about how much more of a raise that she got, right? And this is also a good learning situation as well. Just because another job is offering you more money, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually going to like working at that job more or that overall it is a better job, a better workplace. Because guess what? If you literally hate everyone at your new company, but you're making $20,000 more, guess what? That $20,000 more might sound amazing in the short term, but after a year, after 2 years, you'd probably be willing to do almost anything to get out of there, right? So you got to really like put that into the calculation, right? Like everything is not just about money, right? And personally, I like money. I like making money. But everything in life doesn't have to be about the money. Sometimes it's like, hey, do I just like working for the people that I'm working for? Do I think that I will have a much better life overall working for this company compared to the other, right? Because as long as both of them basically cover your bills, your investments, right? Creating an emergency fund for yourself and also allowing you to enjoy life, having a little bit more money isn't going to make that big of a difference, right? If they both technically cover all the minimums, more money just means like a bigger box to drive in, a bigger box to put your head on, a bigger box to live in, right? So Larson did not respond to a request for comment from the Post. However, Benita Joseph, a partner at the law firm Joseph and Nornsberg LLC, told USA Today about potential concerns involving social media use. A company has a huge interest to make sure you're not engaging in discriminatory statements, disclosing trade secrets, threats of violence, and unlawful conduct. If they do find out that you are doing any of these, it could be grounds for termination. But Joseph suggested that Larson should think about contacting a lawyer if she can show she was terminated for discussing her wages. Larson has not disclosed any thoughts on taking legal action, but shared a more recent video documenting her first day returning to her previous job. Not gonna lie, I was super anxious going in today. It's just a super weird situation, and I wasn't sure how all my coworkers would react, she admitted. Plus, everyone at the company knows about my TikTok now, so that's a little awkward too. Shout out, coworkers. Hey guys. So let's check this out.
So, TikTok got me fired. A couple weeks ago, I started sharing about how I got a job in the tech industry. Well, I don't work at that job anymore because they fired me. I had to sign a bunch of stuff, so I'm like really nervous about going too far into detail here, but basically, my employer found my TikToks and really did not like that I was sharing my salary and stuff like that. Even though I'm very aware that like talking about salary is federally protected, you can't get fired for that. I did take all of those videos down just because, they were my employer and I didn't want them to be mad at me or not like me or something. But then, like, 2 days later,
But also, the fact that she was willing to put those videos down and the company still was like, nah, you're still fired, basically, it's like, that kind of shows the type of character that that company represents, whatever that company was, right? This is why I say money isn't everything, right? Like, if a company is willing to fire you after you take the initiative of putting down the videos that are an issue to them, and they still fire you for that, that's kind of sad to see, right? But again, this is why if you're thinking about changing your job, or if you're thinking about, if you have like two different job opportunities laid right in front of you, right? Let's just say one is making $70,000 a year, the other is making $100,000 a year. And let's just say after taxes to make things simple, right? To make the numbers simple. Both in the same state, etc., right? But one is like a startup, the other one is a big company. The startup is more like a family, kind of like a friendship sort of vibe, and that big company is very organized, very cold, basically no intermingling between the people that work there. Basically, everyone's like a robot, right? Which one would you rather go just based off that, right? Now, the 100K is that, that really cold, big company. The 70K is the startup, right? Personally, I'd probably go for the startup. Not only that, typically with startups, you have a much higher likelihood of, since being there pretty much early on, that you probably are also going to get some sort of stock options that could actually be worth something later down the line, right? Potentially. But even if that's not the case, the environment would just be so much more enjoyable because you're probably working with people that actually like their job, that actually like what they're doing, compared to the big company with a whole bunch of workers there that are just, cashing their paychecks every week, basically, just, going day in, day out, not talking to one another, not caring about one another. One of them might pass away and they literally don't even bat an eye. Like, that will take a toll on you, right? And you got to be choosing based off your personal preference and also what you can deal with for a long time.
But I did specifically ask, like, have I broken any policies? Have I posted anything on TikTok that is a security concern? And they said, not at this time, I have not, but it could happen at any time in the future, so they're just not going to take that risk with me. The day that that happened, I literally had a panic attack on the drive home. I was crying for like days straight. I'm a little bit better now, but I'm like literally shaking. My anxiety is still very high about this.
By the way, another company that basically does something similar to this, where they're very, very protective over the privacy, is Apple. Apple is typically the type of company that would fire people if they have a social media account, or be like, hey, we're now aware that you have like a social media account that has like 100,000 plus followers. Just to let you know, I mean, we're okay with it for now, but this is kind of giving us a bad feeling, right? And the reason for that is because Apple tends to have a lot of people that leak information for a quick payday.
Whole situation. But you have to say I'm very, very lucky. My last employer slash now current employer is really amazing. They know about my TikTok and they have no issues with it. And so I called my manager like an hour after I got fired, like sobbing, and he actually was able to get me my job back. So that's like super, super lucky. But yeah, I haven't really been posting on TikTok a lot just because I've honestly been in shock. I've had really bad anxiety ever since this happened, and I've kind of just been trying to like process my emotions with all of this. So yeah, I'm going back to work for the agency that I worked for before taking this new job. So no more tech vlogs. I'm very sorry.
And by the way, I mean, a good way to basically avoid this whole situation, regardless of what company you work for, is to simply have like a conversation with the company. Like, be like, hey, I have a TikTok, I have a social media account, and I talk about this. Is that okay with you guys? Right? If it's not okay with you guys, or if there's something that you specifically never want me to talk about relating to the company, or if the company is basically off limits, just let me know. And I'll be okay with doing that. Right? Or not okay with doing that, and I'll just find another employer. So that's something to really think about. Right? Blah, blah, blah. So let's see, any comments? Discussing salary is. Hold on, new comments. Guaranteed she worked for a government contractor. You only sign non disclosure agreements if they give you a big payout for leaving. Otherwise, she is even dumber than we thought. See, this is the thing. She probably did actually get a payday for leaving. And the reason for that is because one, they probably don't want to get sued, depending on the state. But then, two, it would basically allow her to go to like another company, even a company paying less than what she was making, pretty soon afterwards, if she got a pretty nice payday, because she doesn't necessarily care too much about the money at that point. And also, the company kind of like wins in a way because they basically avoid a future situation of potentially something getting leaked out. Potentially. Discussing salary is boorish. The fact that she could not see this as a potential issue for the employer shows she is still very young and has a lot to earn. Everyone should discuss their salary openly. It gives people the upper hand with their companies when negotiating. The issue is that these idiotic millennials have no shame. They will disclose even the most sensitive and private parts of their lives for just a few likes from the internet. A more useless and obnoxious generation has never existed. Oh, shut up, you boomer. Now, the thing is, this is technically happening with the younger generation, but I wouldn't say that they're a more useless or obnoxious generation, right? I wouldn't say people are like that. Like, I don't like painting a whole generation with the same coloring. Like, it just seems weird. Now, this comment, this statement, everyone should discuss their salary openly, and it gives people the upper hand with their companies when negotiating. I can see where this person's coming from, right? And to a lot of people, it would actually make sense. But there is actually a very big issue, right? Because take this example. Let's say that you have three people working in the same department with the same title, right? All of them get paid differently though, but technically speaking, they have all technically the same duties, right? But one gets paid like 45, the other person gets paid like 75, and the other person gets paid like 100,000. And again, let's just say all after tax, right? The lowest one might be someone who's only been working there for like 1 or 2 years, right? The middle person might have been working there the longest, but their skill set has never really gone past a certain point. And that high income one might be someone that is actually a part owner and no one actually knows that they're actually a part owner. So, like, half of their income is actually being made by being a part owner of the company, right? But it's not really openly discussed that that person is actually a part owner of the company, right? Because who knows? Maybe they're like a kid of like one of the people that own the actual company, right? So they get like a small percentage of the profit that's being made from the company. So they're getting their salary, but also they're getting like kickbacks from the profit that the company is actually getting paid or generating per month, et cetera, right? It's something to really think about, right? Because people are going to start fighting potentially, right? The person that, maybe stayed there the longest is going to be like, why are you getting paid so much money? Blah, 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 right? Without really understanding the context of how that person is actually getting paid, right? Or that they're actually an owner, right? Or the other person that's only like making the least amount might think that they're entitled to more money because who knows? Maybe they're actually no. Let's word it this way. Maybe they feel like they're never going to make enough money because that one person has been there for a super long time, barely making much more than they are, right? And they think that maybe the higher income earners may be sleeping with the boss or something. Who knows, right? So it just gets into like a really weird dynamic, right? Because not only that, without really good communication in a very careful way in terms of like salary, there's going to be envy, there's going to be hatred, there might even be some fist fights. Like, there are people that are just out of their minds and are going to react to things really badly for not really any good reason. Okay, so why does everyone feel the need to share every detail of their life with complete strangers? Now she can put those millions to use on OnlyFans. Wow. Nice and vulgar. And for those that are listening to this on the podcast, that is because this individual, according to this person, has big pillows under her chin. Oversharing, first complaining about only a $450 tax bite in $20,000? Ridiculous. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Oh, really, really didn't like, huh? What the hell were you getting paid for anyway? Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, TikTok got you fired. Young people are really beyond terms when it comes to talking about their ignorance. Feel free to give your thoughts about this, right? The thing is, I think the biggest thing that this whole story basically shows is that money really isn't everything. If you are willing to work for a company that is the type of company that would fire you over TikTok videos, over you doing nothing illegal, or saying nothing bad about your company, then that's basically on you and basically on the company because you chose that company. You chose that company over your previous employer, and your previous employer had the type of culture that would be willing to hire you after you basically, in a sense, bashed them for paying you less, right? Now, obviously, she didn't really actually insult them, but when you say, like, oh, this company paid me 90, but my former company only paid me 70, well, what do you know? I mean, I'm going to go with the one that just pays me more, right? And then I'm literally going to be crawling and crying back to them because, they actually like me. If you want to learn how to get out of debt and master your money, go to 40inbucks.com. Feel free to give your thoughts on this whole situation.